I have to address certain things because people, they hit me up, they write on my Facebook page, or they say certain things and they want me to address it. And so the next thing I have to address is the whole Bernie Sanders thing. So I'm not sure what goes on in the consciousness of enlightened beings, right? Well, actually, I'm sure of what goes on in the consciousness of enlightened beings, but I'm not sure what goes on in the consciousness of so-called conscious people. Because if you understand what is going on in this supposed White House, which is the Black House, really, then you would know that Bernie Sanders equals Ron Paul. And then what happens is with this whole thing is that they get everyone riled up to thinking that there's going to be some major change. And all you need to do is put your signature down here, and you need to get into this voting, and you need to cast this ballot, and you need to basically get into this magical ritual, because we're acting like if Bernie Sanders is elected into office, that he won't be surrounded by a staff of old owls that have been in that particular office of power since it began, damn near. You see, so these people, they say that they're conscious, but what kind of consciousness are they using when you can't just ping? Ping means send your frequency out. It will bounce off of whoever you're sending it out to, and then it will come back with the explanation of what exactly is going on. This is the truth. This is the field of truth. You cannot be lied to. When you activate yourself to the highest potential and you have that beam, aka laser, and you send that beam or that ran across to whatever you want to ping, it's going to tell you exactly what's going on with that person and what they're doing. It's going to sniff them like a sniff program on somebody's router. It's going to give you their IP address and exactly where they're coming from. So people, they come at me all the time, and see, it's just like I only sit back. I have a lot of compassion. So I can know who you are and what you're about and what you're doing and what you're saying, but that doesn't mean I have to tell you what you're about, what you're doing, what you're saying, especially since everyone pretty much is in this illusionary matrix until they pull themselves out of it. So it's like a cookie cutter in this matrix. That's why you don't get everyone inventing something new, because everyone's following that same path. So in that same path, you got these Bernie Sanders, and then they rally up with people like, it's obvious, like Bernie Sanders even linking up with Killer Mike. Just to get the black vote. Come on. Even if you were going to link up with someone, they shouldn't have Killer as their first name. But it's just showing you how this same programmer runs. So everyone rallied behind the Ron Paul like 4 years ago, all these quote unquote conscious people with no ping device. And then what happened? They voted. That means they got themselves entwined in it. See, because these are rituals. These people, they do magic that you wouldn't even believe. They do dark magic. And I would urge people to understand the difference between evil, or negativity. See, negativity is what you see on the battery. English has this problem. It rolls in words that don't even mean the same thing. Some people say, well, negativity is bad things, right? Okay. Evil is a culture. Evil is an action. Evil is a frequency. So when I say that you need to get familiar with positive and negative, I'm not telling you that you need to get familiar with evil. Okay, then this is something that's long since needing to be clarified. Like if you go and see one of these movies and where the witch is running, or the evil spirit with the backwards arms is running up all in the corner of the wall, and somehow when I say you need to balance yourself and you need to understand negativity, you think that I'm talking about that thing. That's not what I'm talking about. That's evil, and it is a culture. So we need to realize that this whole darkness, which none of us wants, nobody wants that kind of crap in their house. Nobody wants that around their children. Nobody really wants that in their consciousness. Now they play with it. You got people who play with it because they think everything's a game. So they'll run into the movie theater, let it completely embed their consciousness, be scared to sleep at night, Freddy Krueger's in the closet, et cetera, because they're playing with it. They're playing with the evil, playing with the frequency. But this has nothing to do with negativity. Negativity and positivity are poles that are used to create. So first of all, let us start to distinguish what these words really mean and not roll them all together. Now, these evil rituals is what we're going to be talking about here for just a moment. But this casting and these ballots, ballot is the female, meaning female ball, female king, balat. Okay, so getting into that whole culture, the moment that you put your signature down, which is a two-dimensional imprint of yourself, you're basically saying, here, I'm present, I'm casting my lot. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the polls, this May poll, and I'm going to go ahead and cast my lot. So when you get involved in that, you're not just voting for Bernie Sanders, you're actually voting for everyone else in that whole entourage, and now they have power over you. So don't put your signature or come into agreement with any of this, no matter how it looks. This is like the witch in the forest with the red apple that looks like a princess at first. And then, you get back, you bite the apple, you go to sleep, you get into the lair, and it's an old witch with a mole on her nose. This is that game. Show them, look at the protocols. Show them only the good face, the roses, and then leave the darkness and the poison where it is until they're infected by it. That's the whole process of these people. So this is almost like 101 for us. Even for me to have this conversation with many of the people, probably at least 30-40% of the people on this line is like, well, Seven, we already know that. But I'm talking about the 60% who have seemed to forgot, because they always, even when you enlighten them about the knowledge, they then tell you, well, I already knew that. You're just reminding me of that. I mean, that's like, man, what is it? Like, what more can I do? Let me know, because I have no problem with doing it. It's inexhaustible. But clearly, stay away from putting your signatures and your agreements with these people, and understand that they run the same game, and Bernie Sanders more than likely won't win. And even if he does, it's still going to mean the same regime. Look at the, what they call it, Agent X. It's a new television series. They explain to you within the first episode every single thing about the White House and about their Masonic involvements and their catacombs underneath the White House and their pledge to the allegiance of that whole crap that they've gotten themselves in, and the path that they're falling into and have fallen into. And if, because they'll always say, well, we rule the world. Well, no wonder what the problem is. See, some people, they almost are like Illuminati infected. They're persuaded by the Illuminati. They try to go find the magical ritual, and they try to get the star, wear the star upside down, because they feel like that if they get this power somehow or become nominated or whatever, that they're going to have this control and that they're going to be in power. But see, this is how diluted the mind can become. If it was anything that was really going to work out, then our world would be working out. The reflection of what these people are doing and what they're involved in, if you decide that you want to somehow jump on their team, you're just going to jump on the losing team. These people are losers. Look what they've done. You see what I mean? So you got people that are entertained now, just like the victim of the person that's been raped and the rapist. They're being entertained by wanting to join the side that is dooming everyone in the event that they think in their mind that they're actually going to become successful, when the whole system is unsuccessful. It proves that in every single aspect of what it does. But that's how deep the illusion can get. So just make sure that you're not somehow being infected by the illusion, and they not have run one of these augmented reality overlays in front of you like Bernie Sanders to make you make a decision and make a move that is going to be irreversible, at least until next term. Disavow. Let go of all of it. So this gets us into the next part of this message. Because remember, the whole act is to get you to sign up. But many people are actually signing up in different ways. They're paying homage still to the king. So whether it's King James, who it's obvious, what edition of the Bible is this? King James's version. We talked about this. It's the Khans, the kings, the Cohens, and the priest kings, which are actually the same being. I've now come to the point of being able to consolidate both of them into the same being with Old Saint Nick. So the thing is that, so you got this King James version of this Bible. This means that this Bible is set up, this current version, where this New International, where all the predecessors or the what comes after the King James version is all set up to get everyone in alignment with the king. Okay? And then, so whether it's King James or King Henry, these kings come from a descendancy that traces all the way back to Wooten. Now, Wooten is God. That is the actual being's name. It's actually God. It comes in English to us as God. And we've went over this thousands of times, but hey, some people need it again. And so some people, they're new to this, but God is an actually real being. That's why in other countries, they don't call their supreme being God. They have other names like Allah and Buddha, and there's a whole list of names. Many of them still trace back to the same thing. You'll find even Sanskrit being actually directly related to this same old language that we've been going through over the last few episodes. So you got Got, who's the Germanic king, Herne the Hunter, okay? And that's actually who Santa Claus is, but let's go through this slowly. So you have Saint Nick, Saint Nick proves that Santa is the priest king. Okay, so everyone knows that Santa is an anagram for Satan, yet they still ignore it. The saints were the Satans because they were devas. Comes from an old level of text in which they plagiarized from the Hindu tradition, which is still part of that same system. It's Sanskrit and it's all Abrahamic. Abrahamic is tracing back to Melchizedek. The Melchizedek is still the king. These kings are what this book continuously writes about as being the ones to stay away from, but yet people are drawn into it all the time. The first king in the Bible, in a tense, being Saul, which is a code name for the salt, which is the hexagramic field, because salt is a cube, that actually corresponds to Saturn, that old king. Because Saturn is actually in its waning or crone base cycle. It is a time lord. It counts time, and it keeps everyone wrapped in time of that old king. So the pledging in Masonry, if you're accepted, is to the king. The pledging to any kind of structure that you're dealing with within this illusionary matrix is to the king. Everyone checks back to the king, whether it's the king in Britain and Rome, and then the king in Britain and Rome connecting himself to this other king. So it's a league of these priest kings that do the same thing, which is basically rule matrices. And they rule matrices through their Bibles, through their religions, and through their holy days or their holidays. This is why the king is always set itself as a priest king to be holy, right? Because the priest is, I'm the holy one. I'm the representative of God. So this means that because God is the king and the priest is holy, both of these are the same being. They're all in the same league, and people can't even get it. There's so many clues to this over and over and over again, but unless it's told to you directly, which I'm doing today, sometimes it's very difficult to put it all together, and it was designed like that. It's like just basically disassociating. Many of these factions disassociate. It's like Bernie Sanders. He disassociates with the party that he's still involved in behind closed doors. It may not even be something that he wants to do. It's just how things are. It's how it works. So anyone that gets in there thinking, I'm going to be the president and I'm going to change everything. Maybe you're deluded. Because this is all a part of a specific system, and this system traces back for thousands of years of dominion over human beings and enslavement of human beings, because kings need slaves. That's what they do. They're slavers. So whether they're galactic slavers or on planet slavers, it's the same thing, because you become a slave to someone else's consciousness and someone else's ideas. So this stuff has traced back all the way since the Norse kings. Now, the Norse king saying is ho, ho, ho. Okay, check it. Ho, ho, ho is a shepherd's call to rally the sheep. Check it. Etymology behind ho means a shepherd's call. Now, when it comes out in modern English, a hoe is a prostitute because the sheep is seen as being able to be used by anyone. That's how deep it gets. So that call by old Santa Claus, who is the Norse king of the hunt, Hern, the Gothic god Wotan, has no respect. It's on a hunt. And guess what? When you read the literature, it says it's on the hunt for your kids. That it will actually try to steal your kid's soul in their sleep. And this is Grimm's tales. Jacob Grimm and his brother recounted all of these tales and brought them back into modern English. Research it. If you just go to Santa Claus on Wikipedia, you can find all of this. And this is why by the lack of knowledge ye shall perish. Ignorance is darkness and evil. And you will be blinded and you will be controlled by the ring. And the rings are the kings. The words even rhyme together for a reason, because it's rhyme and reason. These are poets. These are popes. They're papists. They like paper. They like money. You see, they write laws. They write rules. They write edicts. They bind. They cast. They have certificates. You see, so this all is not no game anymore. This is a soul war, and most are losing.